what's up? It's Wick for WickieMedia Tutorials, and today I'm going to take a look at mixing consoles. We're going to learn the basics of a simple mixer like this right here, but we're also going to learn how to work with a really huge console like this here. And we're going to see that the software mixers that we use are actually pretty much the same. At first they might look intimidating because there's so many knobs and functions on them, but we're going to strip them down and we're going to take a look at the most commonly found functions. So let's take a look at a basic overview. The simplest task that a mixing console has is to mix down several mono tracks into a stereo track, hence the name mixer. In a professional recording environment, there will be two main situations when we'll be running our signal through the console: during the recording process and during the mixing process. During the recording process, we try to have a clean signal path and we try to record the signal at an optimum level. We also want to return the signal from the tape so that we can monitor or listen to what has actually been recorded. During the mixdown process, we're getting our signals back from the tape into the console where we can actually mix them. As you can see, for the recording, there's really a need for two different types of signal paths into one console. Routing-wise, we've got three different types of consoles. We've got a split console, an inline console, and a hybrid console. The split console is split into different sections. We've got an input section, a monitor section, and a master section. With this type of console, you can clearly understand the different signal paths that we have during recording and during mixdown. On split consoles, we will often find subgroups which have their own master faders. The disadvantage of split consoles is that they've got so many channels, so they're relatively big and they're quite expensive. An inline type of console actually has the monitor section into the channel strip. That means we have two separate level controls on one channel strip, one for the channel path itself and one for the monitor path. On many consoles, we're able to flip these two channel paths. During mixing, we normally want to work with the lower fader, so that's why it's helpful that we can flip them. Inline consoles normally have subgroups too, but they don't have a dedicated subgroup master fader. An advantage of an inline console is that they're a lot smaller than split consoles because they only have one channel for the monitor and the recording path. A hybrid console is basically a combination of both of these types of consoles, so they only have one channel strip for the monitor and the channel paths, but they also have subgroups with their own dedicated master faders. So most of the consoles that we will run into normally have a whole section for all the channels with the so-called channel strips, and then we have a whole section for the mastering, and that's where we will find the master fader. Let's take a look at the general signal flow that we'll find in a lot of consoles. Vertically, we've got the channels, and we can kind of visualize our signals going in from the top and going towards the bottom. A mixing console also has buses, which can be seen as horizontal connections throughout the board. So in other words, a bus is a summing line where different channels can be summed together. The main bus that we have is our mix bus or our left-right bus. When we send channels to the main bus, it means that we're sending them to the mix. In the studio, we've got the monitors connected to the monitor output of the console. We can select the source to be the mix bus, so we can actually monitor and listen to our mix over the speakers. We also have the regular mix output, which we connect to our master tape recorder. That means that we're recording the left-right output of all the signals that are being sent to our mix bus, which is actually the way to record our mix. But we also have group buses. This allows us to actually group tracks during recording when we have a limited amount of tracks available. During mixdown, it can be used to control the level of a whole group of tracks that's been routed to that group. So we could, for example, route all the different drum channels into one group track where we can apply the level changes and even maybe EQ or compression on the whole drum group. We normally talk about subgrouping in that situation. An auxiliary bus can be used for alternative mixes, but they're also being used to send to effects, or sometimes for creating headphone mixes. It's just a simple horizontal connection which is available on all the channels that we have, and we can just send a portion of the signal to this extra bus. I'll show you some practical examples in a second. Auxiliary channels are not to be mixed up with inserts on the channel, but we're going to take a look at that right now on the channel strip. This was going to become a very long tutorial, so I split it up in 3 sections. In part 2, I'm going to do a detailed view on the channel strip. You can check out the second part right here.